It's a VGBLTPTA! I totally suck at video games, but love to play them anyway. Welcome everyone to another It's a VGBLTPTA Top 8 video. Today I give you my favorite 8 game intros, with 2 honorable mentions of course. What qualifies a game intro to be on my list? Well, it should happen before you press start to begin the game. It should consist mostly, if not fully, of original material, so no gameplay footage or cutscenes from the game. It should make you want to play the game after seeing it, and these intros need to be from games I've actually played. And, in the interest of variety, I've narrowed it down to 1 entry per franchise. In order to make this video flow better, I've truncated most of these intros, but if you want to see the full versions, I made a private video that's uninterrupted. The link is below in the description box. Now let's begin the top 8! Actually, let me give a quick note about my honorable mentions. These 2 intros would have been much higher on the list, save for the fact they both screw up on one of my qualification rules. You have to start a new game before seeing them. However, both intros were just too damn good not to have on my list, so they get honorable mention status. The first honorable mention, if you couldn't guess by now, is the intro to Final Fantasy VIII, or Fate as I tend to call it. Great graphics, and none too shabby even by today's standards by the way. Cinematic music and subtle foreshadowing spliced with the battle that leads directly into the game's beginning make for one of the best intros I've ever seen for a game. My favorite part is probably Cypher's "come and get it" taunt. He just looks so damn cocky and badass. If only this intro happened before you press start, it may have been number 1 on my top 8. The second honorable mention is Kingdom Hearts 2. Now this was a close call between the Kingdom Hearts games, but the way they matched the action so perfectly to the musical hits in Kingdom Hearts 2 pushed it over the edge. The graphics, typical of Square Enix, are beautiful. The song has an interesting beat that always caught my attention when the commercials aired back when I was in college, and somehow this intro manages to summarize the plot of the first game and Chain of Memories without words. Also, though I don't show it here, I love the way they showed the time skip with Kairi on the beach. Very classy. Again, if this intro occurred before pressing start, it would have been much higher on my list. Number 8 is a special little title called Rising Zan, the Samurai Gunman. I'll be honest, this spot was almost filled by a couple different games, but every time I wavered, I just started singing this ridiculous theme song, and I knew Rising Zan was my game. The graphics are awful, the song is, as stated, ridiculous, and the intro may or may not be made of mostly gameplay scenes. I'm not sure, as I never got very far in the game, but I'll be damned if I didn't want to play this game after watching the intro. Super ultra sexy hero Zan deserves this spot. Johnny no more! Number 7 is Disgaea 3. I respect the Disgaea games, but they've always been a bit too complex gameplay-wise for my tastes. Games where you can level every character and even the items in your inventory to 9,999, it's too much for me to handle, so I generally just smile and nod at the Disgaea games. I watched this intro at a friend's house, and all of a sudden, my gameplay tastes didn't matter. I wanted this game. The goofiness of the intro, where students sing about massacres and zombie teachers at their demon academy, had me grinning. Also, I love the Para Para dance in the middle. Have I played much of Disgaea 3 after buying it? Not at all. But the intro did its job, and this got my money. Number 6 is from the Saturn game Guardian Heroes. This was probably the best brawler on the Saturn, and it was preceded by a pretty cool intro. I'm a fan of the character introduction style intros, which this one did well. Each playable character gets the spotlight that shows a bit of their personality as well as their skill. Randy, the little magician kid, was always my favorite, by the way. The intro also shows the multitude of enemies and potential allies throughout the game, drawing interest from the player to find out who they all are through the game's multiple story paths. The ending kind of trailing off from the excitement of the rest of the intro is why this one is lower on the list, but it's still really fun to watch. Number 5 is the only intro that I didn't dare shorten for this video. Katamari Damacy, or Katamari Damashi, whichever way it should be pronounced. Yeah, I mean, what can I really say about this one? It's insane. Mushrooms, pandas, ducks, the king of all cosmos. Just, yeah, it's out of this world, sometimes literally, and just so weird I can't help but love it. Plus that song is catchy as hell. If your interest for the game isn't piqued by this intro, you may not be human. Number 4 is an intro from a game not many people talk about, Suikoden 3. The intro itself was a pleasant surprise, as the previous Suikoden games only had still shots in their intros. The animation is beautiful, and the music is rather unique sounding, meshing well with the tone of the game and the world it's set in. I almost wish Suikoden 3 had been an anime with this as its trailer. The intro doesn't show all 108 recruitable characters, but it does show a large chunk of them, and manages to do it in a way that made me want to meet them all by playing the game. I feel like I'm not saying enough specific things about this intro, but I guess it speaks for itself. It's a really cool, dramatic, cinematic intro for a game more people need to play. Number 3 is a big nostalgia pick in Lunar the Silver Star for Sega CD. This intro was the first anime-style game intro I ever saw, and it came to me when I had just started getting into anime. It was a fateful match made in heaven. The music was exciting and fun to sing along to. Oh, and here's a little fun fact for you. The voice saying, "Hey, hey," in the middle of the song is Victor Ireland, the master of working designs himself. The fact this intro is mostly still frames with some limited movement actions made those moments stand out more. Lunar was the first real RPG I played, so this intro had to be up on the list since it essentially led me down the JRPG loving path I still follow to this day. Number 2 was another hard to pick one since I decided to do one entry per franchise only. Persona 3 and Persona 4 both had awesome intros that I would happily watch over and over. I liked that Persona 4 had more actual character art, but Persona 3 won out in the end. Why? It fits the music better, especially that moment when the protagonist pulls the trigger. Man, that gave me chills the first few times I watched. The intro does a great job showing off that this game is dark, but the kind of poppy music also shows there's some lighter moments too. I love the song. I actually dig the more artistic representation of the characters, and, well, I liked Persona 3 better as a whole than 4. After watching this intro, I am pumped to burn my dread! And finally we reach my number 1 pick, Wild Arms on PlayStation 1. I used to put my controller on the floor and let this intro run again and again. That's how much I love it. The soft guitar and whistling create an amazing atmosphere, which is then made richer by the added instruments that swell up during the climax. The animation is fairly high budget, putting aside the slight pixelization from being on the original PlayStation, and it highlights the main characters without giving away too many spoilers. In fact, I really like how all you see are the main characters in this intro. It doesn't rely on showing you a ton of other people or places and action scenes. It just introduces you to the main players and makes you want to learn more. It's a more symbolic opening, showing the hard journey the three characters will go on by having Rudy climb that cliff. Once he reaches the top and joins his companions, they share a moment of deserved satisfaction. And that's what this intro does, brings me great satisfaction. And there you have it, VeggiPeta's Top 8 with 2 honorable mentions, video game intros. These are just my own favorites, and everyone's list is different. Feel free to share your favorite intros either by video reply or in the comments, as I'm always up for seeing some cool intros. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Top 8, and I'll see you next time.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Random extra time! So when making this list, it became abundantly clear I enjoyed intros set to music. Something about good music just makes things all the more memorable and great in my mind. I watched Darkened Wolf make his top 10 and wished I had played God's Eater Burst so I could put that intro on this list because it is really cool. The intro from Sonic CD almost made it on here too, but I couldn't find my copy of the game, so that helped me decide on Rising Zan. Okay, that's all for extra time. Stay tuned for more It's a VeggiBLTPTA action! Thank you for watching.